Daily Post, a pro-NDC newspaper, said it was an empty speech. Ghanaians on Akufo-Addo says it was an empty speech. And here they quote a sports General Simo reporter, Gary Al Smith of Joy FM, said, Mr. President, with the greatest of respect, what did you say in your 28-minute speech that's expected to give hope that you are on top of the situation? Frankly, I didn't get even one concrete measure to be hopeful of. I may not have listened properly. Okay, Gary, maybe you listened properly, but the markets disagree with you, Gary Al Smith. The markets responded to the president's speech. The dollar moved from 16 to 12. So that's a clear indication. And that's what I was looking for. And me and my people, my researchers, I said, look at the markets. You see, as for politics, everybody can say anything. Look at the markets. And that's what Baumia used to say, that if you are doing propaganda, the exchange rate will expose you. Okay, so look at the markets. Let's all say what we want to say, but how does the market respond? You cannot say that the market did not respond positively. The market clearly responded very positively to the president's speech. So those who said the president said nothing, maybe they should go and listen again. Or they should go and ask the market, why did you respond positively to the president's charge? Why did the market respond? Why did the dollar change? They should ask the market. If you didn't hear it, the market heard it. These are the things we say that sometimes people don't like. You didn't hear it, but the market heard it. You said it was empty. The market responded. If it was empty, will the market respond? I'm talking about the forex market, which is a critical market in the analysis of these economic crises. The forex is critical. The forex clearly responded to the president's message, and they responded positively. So those who didn't hear it, it's on Good Evening Ghana's page, our official page. Go roll up, scroll up to Sunday. It's there, 29 minutes. Listen again. Then you can understand why the markets responded, okay? All right, so that's the Daily Post. It's by Michael Dokusi, whom I love. Do you know why I love Michael Dokusi? Because he used to score goals for Presec. Dokusi was one of our famous midfielders back in the day. So Dokusi played for Presec national team. Probably one of the longest players who played, because he started playing from Form 2, Form 3, and he played all the way to Lapa 6. He's the editor of the Daily Post. He's a very strong NDC man. He's a good friend of mine. Michael Dokusi. Good evening if you're watching. That's his newspaper, the Daily Post. He was in Laboni House, wasn't he? Laboni House, that's why maybe he's okay, no problem about that. If he was in Engman, maybe this thing. All right. But Michael Dokusi says it was an empty speech, and he says that's what Ghanaians are saying. He relies on Gary Al Smith, another good friend of mine, and I'm saying to both of them the other day is that go and listen to the speech again because the market responded. All right, so that's how the local media responded. I like communication, you see, so, and I did a bit of communication work in I still do it, but in one of my other lives, I did a lot of communication work, not just in Ghana, but in other African countries, in Nairobi, in Johannesburg, in Cote d'Ivoire. I did a bit of communication work, so I really like that, okay. Now, so I'm always looking for the communication angles in every story. And I looked at President Mahama's communication. Can you give me President Mahama's photograph, please? So after the president spoke, after the president spoke, we have been checking the NDC Twitter corridor. And we are looking at who had been tweeting. So we looked at the NDC, the opposition NDC, the people who usually put out Twitter on these matters. President Akufo-Addo finished speaking. He addressed the nation on the economy. President Mahama has spoken earlier on Thursday addressing the nation on the economy. So it was thought that it was going to be a boot for boot kind of thing. President Mahama speaking and President Akufo-Addo speaks. Okay, so after President Mahama spoke, there was media coverage. We covered it here we gave it the live coverage on Metro TV, and then on Good Evening Ghana on Thursday, we talked a little bit about it. Other people talked about it. So we're looking at what are the reactions. Sam George, a regular tweeter, good friend of mine, a very happily married man. You know what I mean when I say he's happily married. You saw his fantastic 10th anniversary celebration. Congratulations, by the way, Uncle Sam. He's also okay, I'm a prophet. He's an apostle. No, I'm the apostle. Is he a prophet? Oh, no, he's a Christian. He's a Christian. It's okay. He's a Christian. He's not a prophet. I'm apostle, yeah? Okay, right. Sam George did not tweet. He tweets regularly. He did not tweet. That's why I'm calling it the silence on the NDC Twitter corridor. Sam George did not tweet anything. Okay, who's next? Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, another good friend of mine, a guy whose brain I thoroughly respect. I have to say that. Felix Ofosu-Kwakye did not also tweet. So we were wondering, what is happening? Why are they not saying anything about what the president said? Have they noticed something what is happening? Sam George didn't tweet. Felix didn't tweet. Joyce Bauer, of all people, didn't say anything after the president spoke. These are people who are calling themselves the government in waiting. They were waiting to come into government. They did not have anything to say about the president's tweet. They had nothing to say. Same as the COVID. The COVID time, they were not tweeting anything because when the president spoke at COVID, what are you going to tweet about? I mean, the speech was so powerful. I don't know whether Sunday's speech was powerful. I know the market responded positively, but I don't know whether it was powerful. Was it? Maybe that's why they didn't tweet. Joyce Bauer also did not tweet. Okay. Dr. Manibuama, fantastic guy. He too, he gets very busy on Twitter. After the president's speech, he did not tweet. Silence on the NDC Twitter corridor. That's against Ghanaians because you see, for civil society, we are looking to see what the government in waiting is saying. The government in waiting must have something to say about the president's speech on Sunday. But if the key actors on Twitter, among the leadership of the government in waiting, do not say anything, then that's a problem. Are they agreeing with what the president said? Okay, let's continue walking on the NDC Twitter corridor. We're going to get into a junction where at least one of them tweeted, and we're going to show what he tweeted. Omanibuama, 0 tweets. Okay, who else? Oh, there he is. Sammy Jemfi is a pastor with a Christ Embassy. You know, I always talk about that. Sammy Jemfi, he can tweet 16 times a day. And he has a Facebook page, Sammy Jemfi, Friends of Sammy Jemfi, and I've been watching it all the time. I like to look at those. I read everything, you know. So I've been looking at it. Quite an interesting concept. It's not bad, you know. So, but he, of all people, the communications director of the government in waiting, 48 hours after the president, who is exiting the ballot, spoke about economic crisis that is the main topic in Ghana today. The communications director of the opposition party, the so-called government in waiting, had absolutely nothing to say about what the president said. That's incongruous, isn't it? What was the reason why they couldn't speak? What was the reason? Why couldn't they speak? What was the speech so bad, so good? What was the reason? They all didn't say anything because I would have thought that they would have been ready with their notes, that as soon as the president finished, they hit on Twitter and said, what was he talking about? This fact he said was wrong. This thing he said is not correct. This government is leading Ghana away. This government is leading Ghana astray. That's what they should have been saying as opposition. The director of the opposition's communication, my good friend Sammy Jemfi, had nothing to say. 0. Nothing. NDC Twitter corridor was silent. Who silenced them? Was it the state broadcaster who broadcast the president's speech live? Was it Metro TV who carried it live? Was it TV3 who carried it live? Was it GH1 who carried it live? But all of these TV channels that I've mentioned also carried President Mohammed's speech live. But they were silent, dead silent. The government in waiting, the government that the people who are telling us that 2 years from now they're going to form the government, they were silent. So they have done an injustice to civil society because civil society needs their information to be able to compare with what the president is saying to determine whether the president is steering this country in the right direction or in the wrong direction. That is the work of the opposition, and they have to discharge their duty excellently. On this occasion, I have to say, regrettably, they failed. Well, did they fail or they had nothing to say? Sammy Jemfi, 0. Okay. But President Mahama and President Akufo-Addo are here. Okay, President Mahama also didn't say anything. President Mahama also didn't tweet. The only person who tweeted, and we're going to give attention to his tweets, was Sami Okujeto Ablakwa. He tweeted. On the NDC Twitter corridor, he was the only one who tweeted. What did he say? Let's look at it. Okay, so this Sami Okujeto Ablakwa, OS_OK, ellipsis 1D. Imagine how President Akufo-Addo would have been celebrated by Ghanaians tonight if he had said the following. Okay, so Sami Okujeto presented an alternative speech to the president, which is what you expect opposition to do. So apart from the corridor being very quiet, he wasn't quiet. He did. Okay, let's get into the details of what he said. This is what Sami Okujeto said. This is the following. He said, 1, President should have said, I am sorry for the economic difficulties I have imposed on you. Was he really serious? When there was doom, so the President Mahama come and say, I have imposed doom, so even that one permits me to say, even the doom, so which was happening in only Ghana among 95 countries in the world, only Ghana. Today, the price of oil here, in Ghana is gone up. Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Mozambique, Maputo, blah, 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 blah. I can name all the 95 everywhere is gone up. So president should take responsibility and say, I have imposed, when the light off was in Ghana, only Ghana, among 95 countries in the world, Ghana was doing doom, so did President Mahama come and say, I have imposed doom so on you? Did anybody ask President Mahama to say, you have imposed doom so on us? Okudzeto, your point one, I disagree. But he tweeted, let's move on. Point two, he says, President should have said, I have with immediate effect fired Ken Ofori-Atta and Charles Edu-Boahen. Why? When there was crisis, did President Mahama fire Setekpe? I mean, the president has the executive right to appoint people. Samuel Okudzeto thinks that he should fire Ken Ofori-Atta. Why? What's the point? What is the thing that Ken Ofori-Atta has done that they want him fired? I remember President Mahama also spoke about him. I'll be dealing with that in my commentary. Okay. Then he said, President Akufo-Addo should have said that I, President Akufo-Addo, I'm reducing the size of my government by 40%. That's not a bad thing, I have to say. That's not a bad thing. But it takes a while to do the calculation of what that 40% would represent. It takes a while. So it's not something that's simple. And I have heard people who are close to the president who have urged him to do so. In fact, in today's Chronicle front page, it was there that the president accepts to cut his government. I think I saw that in the Chronicle today. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's something that can be said. But that's something in terms of cutting the size of the government can be said about almost all the governments we've had in the Fourth Republic. But at this point, Samuel Okudzeto, I can accept it. Maybe not 40%, but President, we are talking about cutting. So they say some ministries are not important. We should put them together and all of that. If you cut, the responsibility of those ministries will be discharged. The people will not just be called ministers. So if you look at a society like Britain, their ministers are few, but they have such a large bureaucracy, very, very large, with all kinds of appointments, secretary, deputy secretary, even their deputy finance minister. They don't call him minister. They don't call him secretary. They call him the first secretary of the treasury. So there's a chancellor of the exchequer who is the finance minister, and they have several deputies, a whole list of deputies at the treasury in the UK. But the first deputy, who is a member of parliament or who ought to be a member of parliament, they call him the first secretary of the treasury. And then they have different nomenclature and designations for all the kinds of people. So sometimes when people say cut down government, I agree with it. But if you cut down government, the service of that government agency that you have cut is going to be discharged. And it's going to be discharged by people. And you will pay those people. So have you really cut down government, or you have changed the nomenclature? I don't know. It's a conversation for civil society to have as we move towards amending things in our constitution and changing our society. So that point we admit it, but we do not accept it as 40%. Okay. Number 4, he says, President Akufo-Addo should have said, I am slashing taxes on petroleum products. Well, when you slash taxes on petroleum products, you are increasing government debt. I'm sure that Ablakwa knows that. If you slash taxes on petroleum products, you are actually increasing government debt, because whatever government is getting from the petroleum products, they will not get it anymore. They have to borrow it. Now, government is trying to be self-sufficient. When the NDC did a great policy by deregularizing the petroleum situation, it was a good policy. It was done by the NDC. It was a good policy to deregulate petroleum situation. So government doesn't pay anything for our petrol. Either two, before the NDC did that under President Mahama, whatever petrol you buy, government is subsidizing some of it for you. So they said take out the subsidies and then also deregulate. If the petrol price goes up and Shell is buying it from the international market at X, they are okay to increase their price. Gold can have a separate price. It's up to them. Let's have demand and supply rule. If you change that, you are adding to government debt. So really, this is okay, slashing tax on petroleum. However, if you do that, you are adding to government debt. Invariably, you are. That's the point. So, Okudzeto, this cannot be a point that a member of parliament should raise, because we are talking about excessive government debt at this stage, aren't we? All right. Then he said, President Akufo-Addo should have said, I am instituting regular meetings with Ghana's only 27 former heads of state, President Kufuor and President Mahama, to share their rich experience and insights with me as we navigate this. What's that point about? I don't even get it. Somebody has elected as president. You are telling him who he should consult. I don't understand that. That he should consult. That he says, I'm going to consult President Kufuor, is a relief for Ghanaians. Is that a relief to Ghanaians? I don't understand it. And he has President Mahama there. Somehow they have to fit something in. President Akufo-Addo has a mandate to discharge. He will discharge the mandate according to the way he wants to discharge it. President X when he comes, President W when he comes, they will discharge their mandate according to how they want to discharge, and Ghanaians will evaluate them for the mandate. Already we know that the markets responded positively to Akufo-Addo. We know that already. Yeah, so please allow him to do the government the way he wants. If he wants to consult the Asante Hene, he wants to consult the Yana, allow him to do that. You don't tell him who he should consult. You can tell him, he's a Democrat, you can tell him. But you don't have to think that if he doesn't obey that, then he's governing wrongly. No. Okay, so that point is flashed out. Number 6, he said Akufo-Addo should say, I publicly commit not to charter a 20,000 an hour luxury jet for the rest of my term. Okay, that's his pet subject. You know that Okudzeto has been on this matter. He's been battling Eugene and him back and forth, accusing each other. Often Eugene has told Ablakwa that his facts are wrong. You've heard that before. So he wants to put that in there, which is okay, fair. Number 7, I suspend all ex gratia payments and will be reviewing Article 71 with comprehensive constitutional amendments. These are the kinds of points that bring the fight, you see. When you have been in government before, you don't come and tell us this. You were in government. You and President Mahama, you were in government. You, Okudzeto, have you taken ex gratia before? I have not taken. Have you taken ex gratia before? We need to check that. Have you, as member of parliament, taken ex gratia before? Today, members of parliament are taking loans to buy Land Cruisers. When I get to Mutala, I'll show you photographs of Land Cruiser. Today, they are taking loans to buy Land Cruisers. Has Sami Okudzeto taken some of that loan? Would he take ex gratia to pay back the loan? These are the problems that I have with politicians, you see. You can't say this. You can't. I can say it. Franklin Kujo can say it. Bryce Simmons can say it. Even Sami Jemfi can say it. But Ablakwa cannot say it. Because a member of parliament is taking loan to buy Land Cruiser. You take ex gratia to pay for it. So he cannot say this. This is the problem. I can say it all day long. I've not taken any ex gratia anywhere. I can say it. Even Sami Jemfi can say it. Frankly, Okudzeto cannot say it. Muntaka cannot say it. Mutala cannot say it because their hands are in the soup. I'm not saying it's bad to take ex gratia. The Ghanaian people must decide. When the constitution was written, Article 71 was put there. Johnson Asiedu-Nketia was sitting right there. He was part of those who wrote that constitution and put Article 71 in there. Asiedu-Nketia was part of it. So why do they play these kind of games? I find it very petty and childish. You cannot come and talk about Article 71. This constitution was created by the NDC. Johnson Asiedu-Nketia is a member of the Consultative Assembly. I have the record of the things he said. Sometimes I don't want to say it, but he said some very dangerous things in the assembly. One day, I will show it to you because I have the Hansard of all the assembly meetings. I have it. And Asiedu-Nketia is in there, quoted as saying certain things. Tomorrow, I'll start researching on the debate on Article 71, and I'm sure I'll find something. I'll bring it out. So Article 71, Ablakwa, don't even go there. All right. 8. He said, President should say that my cathedral project is hereby suspended. The cathedral project is the president's project, and he should say it's hereby suspended because Ghana is in economic crisis. Is that not so? Okay. If Ghana is in economic crisis, the president will decide on payments to make. He may decide that for this month, that month, last month, we're not paying anything to the cathedral, but we'll get back to the cathedral next year. Ablakwa wants him to suspend it. He should go and tell that to Opoko Onyena of the Pentecost Church. Okay, so that is how we end the Twitter corridor.